Okay, dialogue 2, again, at the airport. Okay, dialogue 2 of at the airport. At the airport? At the airport. Here we go. This time we're going to be looking at what to do when you're asked the question about where you would like to sit. So is it possible to have a window seat? Now, window seat is, as it suggests, right up against the window. Alternatively, you could have an aisle seat, and an aisle seat leads you into the walkway where the flight attendants walk up and down and where you use to go to the toilet. So if you prefer an aisle seat so that you can go to the bathroom or to the toilet whenever you without disturbing other people, then change this dialogue to is it possible to have an aisle seat? Okay, flight attendant? The check-in clerk is likely to ask you, yes it is. Or likely to tell you, I should say, yes it is. There will then be a pause while they tap in some buttons on the computer, and then they will say, here is your boarding card and ticket. Now, your boarding card is a very, very important card. The boarding card contains the information that you need to know about your seat number and where you will be boarding the plane. And you'll see in this particular dialogue, here is your boarding card and ticket. You will be boarding at gate number 10 at 3 o'clock. Now, boarding at gate number 10. You'll be getting on the plane in the area called gate number 10. Now, if you go to Bangkok Airport or Singapore Airport, or you go to London Airport, London Heathrow, or any major big airport, there could be like 80, 90, even 100 gates. There are a lot of gates, so it's very, very important for you to know the gate number at which you will be boarding. So, asking for your seat. Is it possible to have a window seat? Yes, it is. Here is your boarding card and ticket. You'll be boarding at gate number 10 at 3 o'clock. Just one thing about boarding time. You'll be boarding at 3 o'clock. It is very, very important to arrive on time at your gate. There will come a time before the flight where you will not be able to get on the plane. So if you are boarding at 3 o'clock, you arrive there at 3 o'clock. Don't leave it any later. Okay? I know many people like to go duty-free shopping. Of course, even I do. But if your boarding time is 3 o'clock, then you need to be there at 3 o'clock. Okay, let's move on to the next part of this. Thank you very much, just being very polite. And of course, you have then, you're welcome, have a nice flight. So there we go. Dialogue number 2 is, this is you. Is it possible to have a window seat? The flight clerk, check-in clerk. Yes, it is. And then tapping in to the computer. And then they say, here is your boarding card and ticket. You will be boarding at gate number 10 at 3 o'clock. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Have a nice flight. Okay, now we're on to the vocabulary for dialogue number 2. Vocabulary for this one is a little bit more normal. Aisle seat, window seat. Of course, I've explained that one. The aisle seat being in the walkway where the flight attendants walk up and down. And your window seat is the seat next to the window. Now, I usually find that the window seat is very good for sleeping. So if you're flying from China or Japan or Indonesia or Korea to London, that's a long flight. So if you're likely to want to get some sleep, then I would recommend you choose the window seat because you can put the pillow up against the side of the plane and get some sleep. So there you go. There's a good one. Now, the next one wasn't in the dialogue, but is also a question that you could be, or statement you could hear. You need to be searched. Now, this involves could happen when you go through security. Now, when you go through security, you have to put your bag through the X-ray machine, and you have to walk through a metal detector. Now, sometimes that metal detector is likely to sound an alarm. Now, don't panic, don't get frightened. It's 90% of people set this alarm off. All that will happen is that a security guard will need to search you. They will be looking for keys or coins or something metal that you've forgotten to send through the X-ray machine. So be warned, you might be asked to be searched, and it could be said, please come over here to be searched, or excuse me sir, or excuse me madam, you need to be searched. The next one that you're likely to hear is please have your boarding card ready for inspection. Please have your boarding card ready for inspection. Now, your boarding card you got when you checked in to the airport. Ready for inspection. Inspection means just to look at. To inspect something is to look at something. So one of the flight attendants or one of the security guards even may wish to look at your boarding card to check your flight number, your gate number, and the time at which you might be flying. So don't panic if anyone asks you, please have your boarding card ready, or tells you, I should say, please have your boarding card ready for inspection. That's quite normal, perfectly normal. It just means keep your boarding card safe and where you can see it. Okay. I hope this has helped you with airport language. It's kind of difficult, and when I was writing this particular episode, I realized there was so much I could include in this, but I've tried to simplify it for you so that you can follow questions and statements that you're likely to hear. So there you go. That's the vocabulary for this week. Okay, this is this week's podcast of the week. Talk about English, learn English. Again, this one's from the BBC, and I don't know what's been happening at the BBC recently, but there is an awful lot of new podcasts being created and put on their website. Here's another one, Talk About English, Learning English podcast. This one's actually a 20-minute podcast and more like a talk show rather than a expressions and vocabulary podcast. So in this particular one, I'll read you the description. It says, improve your English vocabulary, grammar and listening skills with the BBC. Our weekly 20-minute chat show includes features and interviews to help you practice and develop your English. We cover a range of topics using everyday informal English, highlighting useful words and expressions. Talk About English is presented every Thursday by the team from BBC Learning English, including Callum Robertson, William Kramer and Jackie Dalton. So there you go. Talk About English, BBC World Service. The website is www.bbc.co.uk/World Service /Learning English /webcast /index.shtml. Don't worry, you can see this website at the end of this show, and of course it will be on our website. Okay, so that's podcast of the week. The BBC's Talk About English, a 20-minute podcast, so a little bit longer than ones we've already featured, and contains vocabulary, grammar, and listening skills. So there you go, podcast of the week. Okay, now we're going into our practice time session. Now, this week is a little bit different because I want you to be able to practice your the words that you're going to use. The words on the left in this particular example, for example, you will never use because you're not likely to be the flight check-in clerk. This is for you when you're checking in. So this week's practice session, we're only going to be doing one side. So you need to be grey, good morning, flight BA 123 to London, certainly just this one. And yes, I will be orange. So let's have a go at this one. Good morning, which flight are you taking today? Can I see your ticket and your passport, please? How many bags are you checking in? And did you pack the bag yourself? Okay, very good. Okay, guys, don't forget you can tune into our FES live chatting session every Sunday. The times will change, and well, I think the first one we did was at 9 p.m. Seoul Korea time, and the second one was at 4:30 or 4 p.m. Seoul Korea time. So check out the times on our website. Keep in mind when the times are on the website, they are Seoul or Tokyo's time, not GMT. So keep an eye out there. We are based in Seoul, Korea, so we will be working on Seoul, Korea time. So if you want to join in the show, always remember the time that we feature is Seoul, Korea time, not GMT.